Hey, I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and please hit like. I'm an amateur watchmaker. I'll say amateur watchmaker, but I've been doing it for a lot of years. And I do this as a hobby because I enjoy doing it, and I make some videos to help other people. So what have I got in the bench today? I've got a Henry Birks and Son limited watch. I don't even know what this thing is. It's got a lot of damage. Let me have a look at this for a second. So the front here, the crystal looks like it's fine. The crystal looks like actually there might be a crack in the crystal right there. The face of the watch has got a lot of material missing here. Not sure what to do about that. I'll have to talk to the owner and say, do you want me to put a little bit of paint in there just to cover it up? It's up to you. It's up to you, man. It's up to you. And let's just crack this watch open and have a look at what it looks like inside. All right, I'm a sucker for punishment. So Henry Birks and Sons, called Birks, is commonly known as Birks Jewelers. Canadian luxury jewelry, accessories, history of 145 years in business, founded in 1879. So this company, Henry Birks was the founder, 1840 to 1928. So he lived in Montreal, and he was an immigrant. His parents were from Yorkshire, so he's a British immigrant. So he established Birks and Sons 1879 with an investment of $3,000 Canadian. He was in 174 St. James Street in Montreal, which was a financial district back in the day. So that is where this watch comes from. So what they did back in the day was that they had these movements come in from Switzerland, and they'd case them. So as you saw with the case, that's not a Swiss watch case. That's a North American watch case. So what's strange about it is that the plate actually says Birks and Sons on the watch movement. So he had these watches specialized in Switzerland and then shipped in for his jewelry store. So it's kind of cool. So we're not sure how old this watch is. Maybe I'll be able to look this up. All right, so this is a double hinged case. You can see the hinge here in the front and the hinge here on the back. And let me get my thumbnail in there. And it is likely a gold filled. Yeah, it's a cashier case, gold filled, American Watch Company. It's probably American Waltham Watch Company. American Waltham Company, AWCO. Anyway, that's the case. And if I just flip it open, have a look at the movement for a second, what do I got here? It actually says on the movement, Henry Birks and Sons Limited. I don't even know if this is a registered name in the pocket watch database. Slow and fast. And if you look down below, right down there, it says Swiss. So Henry Birks and Sons does not sound Swiss, although it might be a Swiss movement that was imported to the U.S. and stamped and cased by a jeweler called Henry Birks and Sons. So I'm going to see if I can get this thing going again. I don't believe there's any power on it, and I don't want to put any power on it. It's interesting, the barrel configuration here looks like look at the ratchet wheels above the barrel. So this could be interesting to work on. So there we go. Henry Birks and Sons, and the first thing we'll do with this is line. It's likely not lever set, so I can probably pull this out and line the hands up for removal. You just put them at 12 o'clock. Oh, I'm getting a little bit of ticking here, which is good. That means the balance is moving. There, I'll put them at 12 o'clock for removal. And I think if I can, I want to take the power off of this watch. There's a little tiny bit of ticking happening. I can see the click right there. So the click is right on the edge for this mainspring. So I think I might be able to push the click back and let the power ride down. I may have to do it with the movement out of the case though. Usually you can do it from the top. Yeah, it's weird. Weird, baby. It's weird. Doesn't seem to have a lot of power on it, but yeah, that's not coming off. So we'll have to take it, we'll have to uncase it and do it from there. And uncasing it, I want to take the hands off first so that the hands are nice and safe. So let's just get rid of those hands. Yeah, let's get rid of the hands first and go from there. Just putting a little piece of plastic over the face as I take the hands off, but as you can see, the face is in pretty raw condition. It's not what I would consider a nice face on this watch, but the gentleman who owns it, I think it's family heirloom stuff. So there's two of the hands, nicely bunched together. I'll put those on the mat. And I want to stop the watch to take the seconds hand off. One way I can just stop the watch, because I can't seem to take power off the off the watch here. It should be able to do that. But one way I can stop the watch is I just take a piece of Rodico and very carefully put the Rodico on the edge, and then let the Rodico touch the balance wheel going down. And you just do it very carefully. And that way I don't have any pressure on the balance at all. Like that, and it's not touching the hairspring right now. And then move that around, and then the seconds hand is not moving, which is where I want it to be. And to take the seconds hand off, they're very small, but I can get underneath the seconds hand with two screwdrivers and simply rotate them against each other, very counterclockwise. I'll do it with the crystal facing you here. And that usually lifts the seconds hand up. There we go. So that's now up and out. And I want to get a tray available because it's tray important to do that. Now, anybody that speaks a little bit of French would get that joke. Now, if I remove this Rodico, this thing should tick again. There we go. And I do want to remove the power off the watch. I may end up taking the balance out before I remove the power off the watch. I don't like to do that, but this is kind of an odd mainspring. So, and I'll take a picture of the watch first before I continue. That way I know what it looks like. So I'm a member of the Ottawa Valley Watch and Clock Collectors Club. Anyone can join, by the way, so if you're anywhere in the world, you can join the club. It's like $50 a year, I think, which is really good. And you get the resources from the club, you get people that you can contact with problems you might have to try to resolve the problems. And there's meetings if you live in Canada or in Ottawa area. They have 5 meetings a year. Sort of like, it's not, I guess it's not quarterly if there's 5 a year, is it? So 5 meetings a year, and we all get together and we have marts at the meetings as well where people sell things. So that is the club I'm a member of. I've been a member for quite a few years. Look at that baby just ticking away. I like that, the fact that it's ticking. It's not very strong amplitude, and I wish I could take the power off the mainspring because I can see that click going back and forth on the mainspring. The click that's holding the ratchet wheel in place right there. So just be able to move that thing out of the way. Oh, there we go. So it's going back a little bit right now. Funny thing though is I'm moving it back, but it's so gummed up it doesn't want to turn. I think I got it to a position where there's no power anymore. There we go. Yep. So it's powerless. So I was able to remove the power off the mainspring. First thing you got to do. All right, the next thing I need to do is take this out of the case, and to take it out of the case you have to pull the stem out first, like that, and that just takes the stem out of the movement, which is necessary to decase it. And then I want to loosen these case screws. Now these got the stupid half case screws, which I hate, but I may have to put up with them. But they think that they were smart by making these case screws half a screw, and all they did was cause a problem installing the movement. This one comes out. This one's kind of a bastardized half screw. The other one is an actual half screw. Move those over where the hands are. This one here I can't take out because it's banging up against the screw. So I want to take this movement out of the case. And I think I've got to open the other end here. And this should drop out, although it might not. They've been seized up here for a long time. They sometimes have a problem dropping out. But this one here is sort of dropping out. You just grab it. This thing is going to be cleaned, so I'm not too concerned. And there it is out of the case. And it's got a dust cover, which is interesting. Yeah. This is an old watch, man. An old watch. There's the dust cover. This thing is loose. I just take that out without a problem. That can be cleaned up as well. Put that out of the way, and then I can remove the balance. You want to remove the balance right away. So somebody asked me why a gel-filled pad here. Why not the ones that are leather? Because the leather ones are crap. So they're just too hard. A gel-filled pad, when you have the cannon pinion going downward here, there, onto that pad, it won't puncture the pad, and it provides a nice soft landing, so the cannon pinion kind of goes in a bit, and everything's flat, so it's nice and soft in there, and then I can actually work on the movement with that, like that. So I like to remove the balance even before I do the face. Just to make sure that the balance is well protected. And as I was helping a guy yesterday at our watch meeting, I always use my Birks 7010, or you can use a piece of pegwood just to hold the balance down a bit while you unscrew this. So I'll be putting the balance on this made in China holder, and I'm going to just screw this up a bit like that. So this balance will rest on this piece here, the balance arm going through, and on the on this here, which is sharp enough hopefully to hold it. So I just want to make sure it's the right distance. I'm looking at it and it's not. It's got to go in a bit. So measure that again, and in a little tiny bit more. And there we go. And if you can see, that's pretty much lined up with the balance and where the tack is. So now I can basically, people say that word way too often. I can unscrew the balance. So I want to put just a little bit of a hair's worth of pressure on the movement here. And I want to, I'm just going to loosen the screw by holding it first. And then put a little bit of pressure on the balance cock as I unscrew this, because I don't want this thing to move or rattle around while I'm unscrewing it. Same thing when I put it in. I make sure once I've got the the pivot in the hole, in the upper balance hole, that it's sort of supported this way so it doesn't pop out and you don't put the screw in and squish things. So I put a little chunk of Rodico here so I can just push the screw onto there, and then now when I remove the balance, which again I'm going to put a little, I'm not putting, it's the weight of the stick almost, which weighs almost nothing. I'm just going to, there's a slot in the back here that I just rotate the screwdriver like that, and then grab that like this, and that should come out. If I tilt it, that should just come out nicely. There we go. And now I can rest this on the holder. See how I line the arms up? And then put that in there. And now, if you look at that configuration, right, the arms of the balance are sticking through the cracks here, right here. So, and this is, I bought this on AliExpress. It's pretty cheap. And it's really nice. And the balance is going down here. So I've got other holders I've made and other tacks I've got, but this one here is great because it just supports the weight of the balance, which is what I want. So that's that step, and now I can remove the face. So the next job then is to take the dial off here. It's an old dial. It's in pretty hard condition, I'll say. It's got some personality. Now I could probably try to clean that up and fill it up with material, but I'm not sure. I think that the owner, if this is a watch that's, you know, means something to the owner, you may just want to leave the dial the way it is, because it's got the history in it. So I'm just removing or loosening the dial screws here very carefully. And again, you got to make sure your screwdrivers are nicely dressed. Mine are not too bad. I probably have to have another look at them. I either dress them or I replace the blade, but it's pretty easy to dress the screwdrivers. It's the same tool you use for sharpening engravers, and do it against a plate, sort of diamond plate. So here are the dials coming out. I find my guitar fingernails are sometimes handy in taking the dial out, because it's I just jam them underneath the dial, between the dial and the movement. And the other thing that you got to do is hold the brake, like you're doing this in card magic or card manipulation. So I just want to make sure that the dial comes out, the dial feet are loose, there's no obstructions at all, and there we go. So there's the dial feet, they look pretty good. I did two videos on how to solder in dial feet. So if I actually lose a dial foot, I've got a dial foot soldering machine I bought from Vietnam, of all places, and it was wired up in Vietnam. I was a little bit nervous about it, but at the end of the day, it turned out to be a pretty good tool and well made. So God bless the people that put it together. There's the hour wheel. These look like they're hurting a bit. I'm putting them on the mat off to the side. This wheel will not come out unless I take this plate out. So in this watch here, I got to determine how much of this I'm going to strip down, because I can see another intermediate wheel here, and I can see this here is the cap jewel for that, which has to come off to clean. And because of the age of this watch and the setting mechanisms, I don't know whether I'll take out the spring here. Makes me nervous. So now I'm going to get my movement holder out and put this in the movement holder. So the movement holder is a Myers number 58 movement holder. Will hold all watches regardless of size and form. It's your third hand. If you needed another hand, that's the one. And it's got all the different size adapters here in the box, but I use the one mainly for pocket watches here. And let me take that out and show you really quickly. So you've got the adapters that slide in here. This is a piece of sprung metal here, So this is sprung metal and it's pushing upward like this. I push downward, you can see it springing up and down. And then you take these, and there's a groove down here, and you just slide it in kind of sideways to start off with. And then move it like this until it's in place. Now there's a button on the side here, like that, and that allows you to move this part of the movement holder back and forth quickly. And then once you get the movement in position, you turn this to squeeze it in, kind of squeeze the movement in. These little angles here really help hold the movement in place nicely, right? See, I've got a little bit of, is that dirt? No, that's part of the movement holder. So these help grab the movement so it doesn't fall out. It's just a brilliant design. And this is sprung on the inside, as you can see. So you're really screwing it tight against the spring and not against the movement. So you're not going to squish anything. But regardless, you got to keep an eye on all that. So I'm going to take the, before I do that, I'm going to put the dial screws back in. And I don't need to tighten them that much, but I just want them to be in position so they don't fall out and you don't lose them. It's very easy to lose a dial screw if you back them off too much. They'll just come right out and end up in your mat, and then you're going to have to find a replacement dial screw. And these tighten onto the feet of the dial. So I'm going to put this in now, like that, and secure that. And so I'll just turn it a few times, like that, and it's tight enough. It's tight against the spring, as you can see the edge here. It just grabs onto the edge of this movement, so the movement just can't come out. It's just a brilliant, brilliant design. It's my favorite holder. I've got other movement holders, like packs of them. I bought these off AliExpress. I haven't even opened them yet. Quite a few years ago, and I just thought, okay, they're good, but they just don't grab the movement the way this does. I don't know why they didn't angle the edges on these the way they angled them on this. It's a brilliant design. So I've got all kinds of movement holders. You can only imagine how many tools you end up buying after years and years of watchmaking. So here we go. There's the movement now. So I want to take some of these wheels off and everything. So I can take off this main plate here, likely. First, I push down pretty hard, and then I turn. I don't want the screwdriver to slip in position. I talked to a gentleman yesterday who holds the screwdriver a bit differently than I do, and I'll show you this in a second, but let me remove the case screw here, because that's going to get in the way, and get that out of the way. Put that next to the other case screw on my mat, and then these screws I can now remove. I like to keep the screws and plates together just in case. So the gentleman was saying that he holds the screwdriver like that instead of like this, because he's get more control over the screwdriver than doing this, because he finds when he does this, he's got this kind of movement. So I'm going to try that out and see if it does provide more control. So if it does, thank you very much, Dennis. You're a smart dude. Seems to be a smart thing to do. There's the other feet. Now to pop that up, there's always a groove. So in this case here, there's a groove right there to get your screwdriver under. But there are 3 screws holding that plate down. Not 2, 3. I'm just so used to putting my pinky on the top. It's hard for me to not put my pinky on the top. I think when I'm working on watches, maybe that would work, but maybe not for what I'm doing here. Now I can see right away that this could probably slide out, but this wheel is in the way. So I think I'll take this off before I lift this up, because it's in the way just a bit. Normally, the watchmakers or the watch manufacturers would make these things so you could replace the barrel, the mainspring barrel, without having to disassemble the plates. But you could just, because the mainspring might break. Okay, that bugger's in tight. Again, I got to make sure that I got a good grip on the screw when I turn it, right? That way I don't have a accidental slippage. Here I'm just making the movement move instead of the screw, which is another way of doing it. It's funny because some of these screws are shorter than the others, so they're not all the same size. So the center one, this was shorter than this one, so do I pay attention to that when I reinstall? Not sure. So here I can just jog this up from the corner here, likely, like that, and right here, like that. And then this should lift straight up. All right, I gotta gall darn it. There we go. It's always something that sticks. So that's that bridge. Now the center wheel, I haven't taken out the cannon pinion yet, so I was a bad boy. I should have taken out the cannon pinion. Let me remove the cannon pinion. I just held the watch while I pulled up on it and I removed it without a problem. So now the center wheel can lift up again without a problem. It's funny, this center wheel is right underneath the barrel. Again, a unique design for this watch. Put this in place here so I know what the heck I'm doing. Yeah, this is like almost, it's tucked underneath the plate. Like, this is a tight design. Not sure why they did this, but I can remove this now because the center wheel will come up. So here's that plate here, and then that'll come straight up, put that on the mat, and the barrel with the ratchet should come out. There it is. There's the barrel and the ratchet. And it looks like a pretty simple configuration, except the ratchet goes on the top there, which is different. It's always something different. I think I need to have a picture of that. Well, this is pretty obvious here, right? So the barrel just slides in underneath like that. But I'll take a photo of this anyway, just so when I reinstall everything, I'm not farting around with it. Farting around, that's a technical term for you watchmakers out there. I'll leave the barrel in there for a few seconds and just maybe loosen the fourth wheel bridge. It's actually not a bridge, it's a cock when it's got only one side, and a bridge when it's got two. So this is a cock. As much as I don't like that term. So there's that screw, and there's a little tiny hole in the back to wedge out the these are independent fingers, which is unusual. Usually they'll take the fingers and the fingers will be attached at the back, so it'll look like they're separate, but they're not. But these, in this case, they are separate, which makes it a lot easier for reassembling and alignment of the fingers. So it's not as difficult. And again, when I do this, this is not as critical, holding this down, but while I'm here, I might as well do it. And move that out of the way, and then put the plate out of here, and then take one more picture. Now, this is so simple, I really don't need to take pictures, but I'm going to do it anyway. What the heck? And now, if I'm a good boy, I remove this wheel first. and then this one here, and then this one here I can remove after I take this apart. So I want the pallet fork out. I want the pallet fork out of that slot. So I can remove one of these without concerning myself. But when I remove the other one, again, I want to hold this. This is a bridge in this case because it's got 2 screws on either side. And I want to hold this bridge down to make sure it doesn't pop up and maybe damage the pivot for the... that was pretty loose actually. Damage the pivot for the pallet fork. So that's that there. And it looks like those screws are different size. But maybe it's, no, maybe they're the same size, I think. So now I got to get in close and see how I can rock this open here. Well, it looks like there's a gap there, which is good. So I can pull that up with using the gap on either side, like that. And then grab this. I always wash the pallet fork by hand. I don't like putting it in the wash machine. There we go. And then lift the escapement wheel up. That's pretty much it. Now I can strip all this down, but again, I'm very concerned about losing these springs or them breaking, right? So I lately have not been doing that, which is maybe a little less, well, it cleans it just as well, right? It's just, and I oil it afterward, but I let it dry a lot longer. I don't think this lifts up because there's a plate in the back here. It's holding that in place. Yeah. So I'm worried about losing this here. Like if you lose that spring, there is no way in hell you're going to replace that. There's no way. You have to make a new one. So very concerned about that. So there we go. I'll clean the cap jewel and pivot after I put this into the wash machine here. And so the next thing is to stack it. Stack it into my cages. Let me first deal with the mainspring here. So this mainspring, I can see it's probably a T, which is a pain in the ass, because I can see the knobbies coming out both sides here. It's got the ratchet wheel sitting on top, and I took a picture of that 2 seconds ago. This can lift straight up, and I'll put that aside. And there it is there. And so there is a hole in the side to remove the cap, right? So I'll take another picture of that in case I get sudden, instant case of stupidity and forget how it goes. But I shouldn't. And so I remove the cap by putting a screwdriver in here and just pivot upward, and I can do that on both sides. And there's the mainspring on the inside, so it looks like it's in pretty good condition, but let's reel it out and have a look. One thing I'm very aware of is that you don't want to lose the arbor when you do this. And I do have guitar fingernails, which are so friggin' handy for doing stuff like this. I'm telling you, they're very handy. So once I get the spring kind of out a bit, I did get the arbor out, which is nice, so I can drop the arbor. And I'll see whether the spring is set or not. Because the spring may in fact be set, and then I have to order a new spring. If it's like ridiculously set, I'll order a new spring and tell the owner that we have to get a new spring for this. Now the whole rule of thumb was that if the spring is bigger than the movement, you're fine. But if it's not, then it's likely set. So let's have a look at this. It's borderline. So what I can do with this spring is I can do the servicing, clean the spring, wind it back into the barrel, and then check the amplitude. This saves the cost of a new spring, because likely the owner will not be running this all the time, right? This is an old watch, but and I don't think you can revitalize a spring by stretching it out. I don't think that works. So it'd be getting a new spring. So we may all contact him and see whether he's interested, but but because of the age of this watch, may not want to do it. So you can see the parts all lined up here. So there we go. We can move the movement holder out of the way so it doesn't squish things. And now I'm going to put things in the baskets. So I'll clean the spring in the basket as well. So I'm going to basketize this. I've got the bridges, which I put in the basket as well. Like that. And then I've got these little mini bridges here that I can also put in there. I'm not worried about the screws, but they do seem to be different sizes, so I've got to be careful when I put these together again. And I can put the balance. There's a jewel in the end of this thing here, I'm pretty sure. Right? Let me have a look. Yeah, it's in pretty good condition. So I'm going to put the balance in one of the, not in this basket, somewhere else. And I always tend to put the barrel in there and the barrel cap like that, and then throw the mainspring on the top like this. And I can probably throw the ratchet wheel in there as well, like that. So that's enough for that basket. And then I make sure that the other basket will fit on top of this one, but let me just take these out first and load them up. Load them up. Load them up, Jerry. Load them up. So I bought the extra little baskets here because they're very handy for making sure that things stay together. So in this case here, I can throw this in with the 2 screws, but not with the pallet fork. So just that, leave the pallet fork out. I'm going to put that over where the hands are. So that's that. And then the bridges, I have the bridges and the bridge screws here. I could throw the bridge screws in here. They're pretty big, so I'll throw them in there. And these other bridge screws, I guess they're kind of all the same. They're looking the same. These ones are taller though. Or are they? Let me have a look. I don't want to be mixing screws up. Nah, they're pretty much the same. There's no difference here. So I'll throw all the bridge screws in here. What the heck? And they're big, so they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to stay in the wash basket here. So that's good. I'll just leave this one on its own, like that. Put that back in. Make sure it's sealed. Put that back in. Open another one. And here I'm going to throw the center wheel in there and the intermediate wheel, both in this one here. And that's it. That's all you're getting, Mr. Basket. And then, and I've got a Pearl watch cleaning machine. You can look it up. It's Pearl, 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 you are my darling girl. So that was from the Beverly Hillbillies. I put this 4th wheel with the pivot upward, and very often the other pivot will go through the hole in the basket, which is not of any consequence. So that's that one there. And this watch is not a complex watch, so it doesn't have a lot of parts. It's not like I've done chronographs before, and chronographs have like a couple hundred parts. So I'll throw this wheel in here, and I'm going to put that in all by itself. The escapement wheel, so it's going to get its own little basket. And I think I will throw the hour wheel on its own in the middle here, like that. I just have to remember I put it in there, right? And the cannon pinion, I will clean the cannon pinion by hand. So that gets a hand cleaning with the pallet fork. So the pallet fork and the cannon pinion are going to be cleaned in lighter fluid by hand. So now I just have to stack these properly. And when I stack them, I'll bring them in like that, like this, 1, and then 2, and I make sure that these are meshed together really well so nothing can escape, and then 3, like that, and then this here is the top, and I make sure that the top, you see how there's a little bit of waffling there, ridges. This is smooth as hell, so I just put the smooth side down, so I make sure that that's in there, and that's it. And so we're just going to go down to my basement where I have my Pearl watch cleaning machine. Oh, one other thing I can clean is the ring. I could throw that in too. Let me see. Got to take all this back out again to put the ring in, but I'm a good boy. And also the arbor for the mainspring. You see that little bugger, how he tried to get away? So I can throw the ring in. There's enough depth here that this is not going to get squished, which is fine, right? And then see if I can be smart and drop it all in at the same time. Put pressure on the top a bit. And there we go. And when I put this in the watch cleaning machine, there's 3 fingers that push down on the lid. So it's not going to go anywhere. So that's that. So it's ready for cleaning, and that's it for the video today. And hope you have a great day. And I'm JD. So let me just turn on my camera. So, and I'm JD, and I'm a watchmaker, and you guys want to get a hold of me, email me at jdwatchservice@gmail.com, jdwatchservice@gmail.com. So, and thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you next time.